Hey everybody, it's Leroy from Leroy Gaming, and in today's Baldurs Gate 3 guide, we're going to be looking at the Oath of Vengeance subclass for the Paladin. In this video, we're going to cover the features at level 1 of character creation, including ability recommendations. We're going to do full level 2 to 12 breakdowns, and I'm also going to show you all the spells available as you level up. Towards the end, we're going to provide you with some general equipment recommendations and my thoughts on multiclassing as the Oath of Vengeance Paladin. You can use the timestamps below to jump to areas that most interest you. Remember to drop a like and leave a comment below with your thoughts, feedback, and questions. And now, without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the Oath of Vengeance Paladin. Now at level 1, it's important to note the Paladin's going to have a primary ability of Strength. Your saving throw proficiencies are in Wisdom and Charisma. And your hit dice are 1d10 hit points, which makes you a class with the most hit points outside of a Barbarian. And you have proficiency of all weapons, all armor, and also shields. Now baseline at level 1, you're going to get the Lay on Hands ability. You're going to gain more charges of this as you level up, but it's a way for you to heal as an action. You can heal yourself, another creature, and cure it of all diseases and poisons. You're also going to get Divine Sense. It's a bonus action that lasts 2 turns, and you gain advantage on attack rolls against Celestials, Fiends, and Undead. You're also going to get your first Channel Oath charge that refreshes on a short or long rest, and each Oath is going to provide you with different effects. Since you can pick your Oath of Vengeance at level 1, you're going to get Inquisitor's Might to use your Channel Oath charges on. So you or an ally's weapon attacks deal an additional 3 radiant damage and can daze enemies for 1 turn. The daze effect is as follows. If you're dazed, you have disadvantage on Wisdom saving throws, can't take reactions, and lose your dexterity bonus to your armor class. And this does last for 2 turns, and you can activate it as a bonus action. When it comes to your ability points, I recommend 16 strength, 10 dex since you're going to be using heavy armor, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 10 wisdom, and 16 charisma. At level 2, you're going to receive 2 level 1 spell slots, and the most important feature of the Paladin class in my opinion, and that's a Divine Smite. It's basically an effect that you can add on anytime after you hit or critical hit. And what it does is that you use a spell slot to do a bunch of extra radiant damage. It starts with plus 2 d8 radiant damage, and you do 1 to 8 extra radiant damage to fiends or undead. And this is going to scale depending on whether you crit, as well as with higher level spell slots. But if you do wish to use your spell slots for spells, here are the ones that you can choose from. I'm going to go ahead and mouse over them. You can go ahead and pause if you want to read the details. Now I will say, if you were to sacrifice any spell slots for spells, I would recommend either Shield of Faith. It's a concentration spell that lets you up your AC, or potentially Bless, that will make it so that you get plus 1d4 bonus attack rolls to your attack rolls or saving throws for you and up to 2 other characters. Again, it's also concentration, so you can't use that and Shield of Faith at the same time, but that's the only one I would potentially sacrifice for. The rest I would probably recommend using for Divine Smites. You're also going to be able to prepare up to 5 spells total out of all your spells. This is similar to how the Cleric works, and as you level up at every level, you're going to get additional prepared spell slots, and it's going to be across all the level spells that you have access to. So at first level 1, then level 2, and then level 3. Finally, you're going to get to pick a fighting style. Defense is always good, plus 1 bonus to your armor class as long as you're wearing armor. Dueling is only really good if you're going to go sword and board. So if you use a one-handed weapon plus a shield, then you get plus 2 base damage. Great weapon fighting is decent. It basically re-rolls your damage if you roll a 1 or 2 on your damage die. I believe that this is roughly a 15% increase in damage, which is pretty good. I don't recommend protection because it kind of promotes you being closely clumped up with other characters, which is not good, as the AI loves to do AoE attacks against you when you clump up. At level 3, in addition to being able to prepare 6 spells, you're going to get one more level 1 spell slot. You're going to get Divine Health, which basically makes you immune from disease. Now you're also going to get 2 new actions to use your Channel Oath charges on. Abjure Enemy is pretty cool. If this succeeds, you're going to frighten an enemy. And what's good about this is that when an enemy is frightened, they have disadvantage on their ability checks and attack rolls, and they cannot move. And if they succeed on their saving throw, they're still going to have their movement speed halved. The other option is Vow of Enmity. You gain advantage on attack rolls against that enemy, and this lasts up to 10 turns, so this can be quite effective. You're also going to gain 2 oath spells that are always prepared, Bane and Hunter's Mark. Hunter's Mark is also a candidate for another concentration spell that you might consider using as your one alternative to using your spell slots for Divine Smites. At level 4, you're going to get another Lay on Hand charge. You're going to prepare 7 spells now, and you're going to get access to feats. Now, because Paladins really benefit from having high strength, high charisma, and even high constitution, ability improvements are generally going to be your go-to. However, there are 2 other recommendations. Warcaster can be really good. You gain advantage on saving throws to maintain your concentration on spells. That's the main effect we care about here. That is, if you're going to sacrifice one of your spell slots to maintain a concentration. And then there's, of course, Great Weapon Master. If you're going to be using a 2-handed melee weapon especially, because anytime you crit or kill a target with a melee weapon, you can make another melee attack as a bonus action. And then for the 2-handed users, you can deal an additional 10 damage at the cost of a -5 attack roll penalty. This is a passive buff that you can turn on or off at any time, round by round or attack to attack. Very powerful. At level 5, you can prepare 8 spells. You're going to get 1 more level 1 spell. You now get access to 2 level 2 spells. You also get an extra attack, so you can do 2 main attacks per round. Your oath spells are here, Holds Person and Misty Steps, that will always be memorized. As most paladins tend to be melee focused and don't have the best mobility, Misty Steps is actually quite good if you need to get across the battlefield or position yourself. And then here are your other spells that you could consider using. At level 6, you can prepare 9 spells, and you get Aura of Protection. So what's important is you and your nearby allies within 3 meters are going to get a bonus to saving throws. This tooltip is bugged. It's going to be the same as your charisma modifier. So even at 16 charisma, it's +3 to all saving throws. Do note that this needs to be enabled in your passive tab. And anytime you respec, you also need to re-enable it. So that's very important so that you don't run around with this disabled for a prolonged period of time. Level 7, you can prepare 10 spells. You also get 1 more level 2 spell slot. And the subclass feature Relentless Avenger. If you hit an enemy with an opportunity attack, your movement speed increases by 4.5 meters on your next turn. So that's actually quite good in helping with the mobility problems that paladins sometimes have. At level 8, you can prepare 11 spells and you get another feat. At level 9, you can now prepare 12 spells. You get 2 level 3 spell slots. Here are your oath-specific spells that you always have. Haste, super powerful for increasing your movement speed. You get +2 to armor class. You get advantage on dexterity saving throws. Movement speed, as I mentioned, is doubled. And you can take 1 additional action per turn. Very, very powerful. Do note again, it's a concentration spell, so you have to pick this or one of the other ones if you want to maintain it. Protection from energy, and here are your other options. But again, remember, you're likely to use most of your level 2 spell slots for Divine Smite, as it basically now triples in power compared to the base version. At level 10, you're going to get to prepare 13 spells. You're going to get another Lay on Hand charge. And you also get Aura of Courage, so you and your nearby allies now cannot be frightened. At level 11, you can now prepare 14 spells. You're going to get another level 3 spell slot, and you're going to get an improved Divine Smite. So your melee weapon attacks deal an additional 1 to 8 radiant damage. Finally, at level 12, you're going to get to prepare 15 spells, and you're going to get your final feat. Now, equipping your Paladin tends to be pretty straightforward. You're going to want to go with the very best plate armor that you can get. I recommend any support items that are going to increase your damage and or attack values. If you can get something like the Helldusk boots, it's nice because it makes it so things can't forcibly move you. And this also gives you an additional teleport. You can get the Birthright helmet / hat in Act 3 that ups your charisma, which can be very effective. Jewelry, I recommend anything that's going to give you additional movement, additional spell slots, like the Spell Savant Amulet that gives you an additional level 2 spell slot, so that means more smiting. For weapons and shields and or two-handed weapon, you're either going to go with the best possible one-handed weapon. This one right here, the Blackguard Sword, I like because it actually gives you an additional effect to your smite, and since you smite a lot, this can be very useful. Shields, again, get the best possible shield. If you can get a really good +3 shield, that's nice, especially if it gives you additional good effects like this specific legendary shield. Or you can go with a nice juicy two-hander to up your damage. With bows, you're unlikely to use bows for damage as you are not dexterity based, but you can get something that's going to give you nice stats like this Darkfire Shortbow. Gives you resistance to fire and cold and also lets you cast haste for free. Now finally, let's talk about multiclassing. Paladins are great without multiclassing, but they can be even more powerful if you multiclass. The two most popular combinations are going to be comboing it with Warlock, having at least level 3 Warlock or even maybe up to 5 levels of Warlock. The idea would be here to get Pact of the Blade, and then you can go full Charisma build. You can ignore Strength and then really stack Charisma, Constitution, and then maybe Wisdom for even more saves. Alternatively, you could also combo with multiple levels of Sorcerer, and that will give you even more spell slots. And the idea here is that basically translates to even more Divine Smites before you have to rest. Alright guys, that brings me to the end of this Oath of Vengeance Paladin guide. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, please drop a like. Would love to hear your comments below. Of course, if you want to see more from me, make sure to subscribe. Thank you for all your support, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.